don't you feel like that's the most helpless thing on the planet?
Just there's an epic scene where I don't know his name.
The main character?
The husband to the pregnant woman.
Oh, Sang-ho.
Don Lee.
Lee, he's awesome.
He takes his wife because they see the military, and at first you just see their backs, they have their guns, it looks like they're facing a crowd, but then you realize they're infected. And he picks her up in his arms and tosses her over the escalator onto the stairs so that they can start running upwards.
Yeah, that dude's jacked. You found out some cool stuff about...
Yeah, he was an MMA trainer.
That's so cool. That's why he's so jacked in this movie.
He's going to be in Marvel's The Eternals, and now I'm very much looking forward to it.
Last night when he just starts busting zombie heads, I was so happy. But I feel like you can buy him. So this sounds random, but Russell Crowe in Gladiator, or Emily Blunt in Edge of Tomorrow. There's very few actors who pull off their action, like Iko Uwais anything, Joe Talley.
Oh yeah, well.
But
those are givens.
There's very few who you can just really buy into. And I just believed him crushing all these zombies. Like, he's just a badass dude.
He looks tough. He looks believably strong. It doesn't look like someone just went to a gym for this movie.
And you said that he trained Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman. That's pretty cool.
That means something much more to you, so...
They were early... So, the UFC, before what it is now, we're talking before UFC 50, before, UFC 25. Guys like Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman were big names. And Kevin Randleman even fought Voss Rutten for a title fight. Mark Coleman, I think, was a champ for a while, but then they went over to Pride in Japan and had some massive fights over there. And there's a documentary called, I think, The Smashing Machine with Mark Coleman, and I watched it and I loved it. And one day when I was younger, maybe college, late high school, one of the two, I saw them at an airport and I ran up to them.
That's cool.
And I saw your fights, I know you're Japan. Like, they were gobsmacked. Like, how do you know us? And then they were really cool. Then they went out to get their cab and they missed it. And then they came back and found me and chatted with me more.
That's really nice.
So when I found that out last night, I got really stoked.
That makes me feel like Don Lee would be a nice guy.
Yeah. So I was like, back in my head, I'm like, if I ever meet Don Lee, I got something to talk to him about. That's just
Can't wait for Dragon Con.
But I kind of liked his kid. And also, I don't know what you thought about this too, Meg, but there are some neat little moments in this movie too. Like when they're in the bathroom together.
Which group? There's the men in the bathroom and there's the women and the homeless guy in the bathroom.
When the dudes are in the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
When they're just kind of joking with each other about their phones and calling them like a little rat. And like,
after they've, is that after they wrapped their arms and they're battling their way through the train?
And then the phone rings. They're like, is that your ringtone?
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes, how do I change it? And they all just...
Yeah, he gets defensive first and then...
Yeah.
But he smiles. It's very cheeky. It's just such a good character moment.
Yeah, I think it's a good moment in that. And I guess we've kind of jumped all over the place, but what do you think about this movie and how it establishes kind of tension at first? Because you don't really quite know what's going on if you haven't watched a trailer for it.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, you're right. The very beginning is very much about the main character's home life, and then they get in the car, and there's clearly something on fire because there's ashes floating everywhere. So that's your first sort of hint of something.
Yeah. And then they get...
Oh, actually, rewind to the very beginning. We
talked...
Dial it back.
The sassy truck driver.
Yeah, there's a guy going through a checkpoint and they decontaminate his car. It must have been coming from some sort of chemical plant or whatever. There's a spill of some sort. We don't know anything about it. He hits a deer, keeps driving, and the deer reanimates itself and walks away.
It's gnarly.
So you've gotten sort of hints of it. I think because they don't just throw you into it, there's these little, not over the top dread moments. It is a little bit concerning. And you're wondering what's going on. I
like that they give us enough, right, about the biotech district. So you're like, something happened there, and it's spreading.
Something seedy.
But how cool is that sweary truck driver? He's like, I'm having a shit day.
Oh, he was funny. I wish we got more of him.
His sassy truck driver just driving around.
We need a spin-off movie of that guy.
Oh, that'd be nice. Him surviving. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're doing sequels and prequels. Might as well give us Sassy Truck Driver.
Why not give us some novellas?
I want Sassy Truck Driver, the movie.
Is that what it's going to be called?
Yeah. It's like Kurt Russell's Breakdown, but with zombies. Or Black Dog with Patrick Swayze. But it's with the sassy driver, swearing a lot.
I can see a future here.
Just busting out F-bombs. But then I kind of like, too, where... I mean, but this movie also has a really interesting color palette as well. Remember in the beginning I talked about how much yellow there was in the girl's room. And then, it's pretty much everywhere in the set design. And then when they get onto the train, it's very... there's no blues. It's very kind of a light blue. And then there's a different type of orange.
Well, yellow, there's a lot of yellow in light blue.
It's true. So do you think they kind of, I don't know, I like that it's not, there's like Wes Anderson, he deals in pastels. So I kind of like on this movie how it's not really blue, it's not really orange, it's not totally, but I kind of dig how they went about that. So this is, I just bring that up to is thought out. It was a very thought out, it's not just a zombie picture. It's a good movie.
To that point, I saw something interesting. So I think it was the main actor, Gong Yoo.
Yeah.
He said that unlike in America where we have quote-unquote zombie schools, they don't have anyone over there to teach people how to be zombies, this being one of the first ones. So they had hardcore on-set training camps for people, teaching them how to be proper zombies.
Can we take a second and just appreciate the Korean extras or actors who are actors or extras or stunt men who are hired to be zombies? Because in Kingdom and in this movie, these zombies are awesome.
I'm going to say something controversial.
Uh-oh.
I think that Korean zombies are the best zombies.
I mean, even the MMA fighter Korean zombie, he fought Jose Aldo for the title and lost. And
he's one of my favorites.
And he just knocked out, who did he just knock out? He knocked out Frankie Edgar recently.
See? Korean zombies.
Korean
best
zombie. Great MMA fighters.
Convince me otherwise.
But I think there's something about how they lack, like, there's no, like, self-consciousness to their zombies. Sometimes I'll watch zombie movies and I'll see a zombie in the background. I'm like...
They're not selling it?
It's like, come on, dude.
They're not totally into it?
Like, I get in Night of the Living Dead.
You can tell they feel awkward.
And, like, 68, right? Romero, I teach this to my students, so I'm going to sound really pretentious, but in 68... There were zombie films before it, like White Zombie and all that. But it's like with Night of the Living Dead, George Romero's idea was, I don't want to make people, I don't know what a zombie looks like. So I'm going to have my friends and actors and cousins and crew people who are being the zombies because we have no money for extras. They can do what they want. So in Night of the Living Dead, that established for the next 50 years what zombies were. And it was just people wandering around going, yeah, I think this is what a zombie is. And so I think, another thing that they talked about with this is, the next 50 years, people are kind of mimicking what people came up with on the spot in Night of the Living Dead. But in Train to Busan, and even 28 Days Later to a certain extent, just so angry and pissed off. But in this one, there's the bones cracking. There's the kind of body manipulation. Oh, yeah, it's
so gross.
And that happens in Kingdom as well. I would say Train to Busan and Kingdom have very similar zombies. I mean,
they called it bone-breaking choreography.
And that's the same in Kingdom in this. And I think that's kind of where the zombies... And yeah, I think that's kind of where the zombies are different than the normal stalking zombies or the running zombies. But you watch a lot of them and it's just like, and you don't buy it. It takes you out of it. But in this one, I didn't see a zombie that took me out of it. But the one thing, I guess, complaint I have is, I love World War Z.
They are fast.
I love the ant zombies. But in this one, I guess the limited budget, you can it throws you out the big jumbo piles of zombies.
Yeah, and I did see that the director mentioned they had trouble with some of the CGI, so they would often have to do 20 plus takes because of the CGI or focus problems.
Yeah.
Because of all of that. But,
oh, wow.
I don't know. Who do you think are the scariest zombies?
Okay, so this is coming out before our Night of the Comet episode. So we have a Night of the Comet episode coming out in about a month, sometime in there, and we discussed it on this. And I guess if you can look at it a few ways. You have the original zombies or the slow zombies from Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Walking Dead, those kind of zombies. Then you have the thinking zombies in movies like Night of the Comet. Then you have... There are thinking zombies in Day of the Dead, too.
All the different zombie origins. Virus, straight up death, supernatural things.
You never learn in Dawn of the Dead, they're like, when hell is full, zombies come back. Or a comet or something like that. Night of the Comet is, a comet goes by and people become zombies. 28 days later, they're rage infected. Dawn of the Dead, you're never quite sure. The remake. So, I get World War Z, I think, it came from a lab. And then the people got infected from that. 28 days later, it came from a lab.
Because they were looking for patient zero and how to cure them and blah, blah, blah.
So I guess long story short is... Okay,
who is the scariest?
So, all right, if I had to go up against any of them, the 28 Days Later ones would be the most frightening.
That makes sense. I haven't seen that in so long. We should watch it again.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. But they die. If they don't eat, they die. They're not immortal.
That's a whole nother part of zombie origin mythology. Do they eat things? Do they just sort of...
So these zombies just fart out eventually when there's not enough food.
Ew.
Well, yeah, they just fart to death.
Gross.
But yeah, they peter out. They don't have food till they die. So 28 days later, they're dead, right? Mm-hmm. There's not that many more running the earth because they just don't have sustenance, food, their bodies break down. Then you have movies like, Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead where they stay alive forever. But I think the scariest ones for me are probably, I'm so nerdy right now and I love it. Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder remake, because they're just fast and mean and they're kind of smart and surprisingly athletic. Or, the World War Z ones. They're...
Yeah, you brought that up. They're truly effing scary because they can bring down a helicopter.
Yeah. And they jump on top of each other.
I know. And they topple walls. And they're very fast.
But at the end, remember when Brad Pitt kind of made himself invisible to the chomping zombie?
Well, that's because they were sort of in a dormant state, right?
Yeah, if you make yourself sick, then they don't attack you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's a cure for that. So you got to go Dawn of the Dead because they don't care. The fast ones are just going to rip your face off. So I'm going Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder as the scariest. What about you?
I think these are pretty scary. The ones in Kingdom were very scary. Now, there was a cure for the ones that weren't dead yet, but that was freaky.
Yeah, they were creepy.
I don't want to go into it because it's still season 2. You find out the origin story and all that, so I don't want to give any spoilers. Since
Watch Kingdom.
But they were scary.
Very scary.
And the way they would chase people through the woods.
Bad.
And then he would just wake up when everything got cooler at night. Jeez Louise.
So you know what then? They're scary, but they also, when it's hot out,
I think so. Yeah, when it's cold, they were more active.
So the Dawn of the Dead ones just run around like maniacs all the time. Megan,
but can you imagine if you're just unwittingly walking around, you don't know there's zombies, and a chilly spell comes along, and then zombies.
I should do an infographic.
I feel like you could never let your guard down. At least if you lived in a world where you knew there were zombies, you would be more on your guard. What if these things just wake up?
Yeah, it's true. Then you get more relaxed. Oh, it's hot out. We'll be fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Man, you got me freaked out. I'm looking around right now. I can't have a hard time focusing.
It's dark and windy and ominous out there. You don't know.
But I guess with this film, Train to Busan, I also like when, they get going just in time. Because remember when they're leaving and the little girl sees the person at the door just getting wiped out, jumped on? They get gone just in time. It's freaky.
That train leaves the station just at the start of things. They only get one infected person on there, and
it all goes bad.
Sets off a whole chain of reaction.
And then she starts munching on the attendant.
Could you call it a train of reaction?
Yeah, a train
reaction?
Train reaction.
We got there. Hey, you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
So the lead actor, again, the dad of Soo-an, Gong Yoo, he said he's very easily scared, and he was scared of the zombies.
Yeah, it's funny.
And often when he was fighting them, it was complicated because he didn't know exactly where to strike because they were acting their own sort of methodology of twisting and being a zombie and convulsing, and he didn't know where to deliver blows and whatnot.
Whoa. Also,
he just said it was scary, and the director would yell cut, but the zombies wouldn't hear, and they would keep running at him.
Freaky. Oh, wow, that's neat. You know what can I tell you what my favorite part about working with zombies is?
What?
So I've worked with zombies in the past on some movies. I guess I won't name them.
Do they hang out with you at the crafty table? Do you get coffee?
Yeah. So what they are is on a lot of films there's background zombies, so they kind of go in their background tents. They get the normal food, but then the hero zombies, they get to go drink cappuccinos, and because they're the actors, you bring them in. A lot of the Descent, Neil Marshall, the Crawlers, he brought in actors to play them. With a lot of these specialty zombies, they're actors that are brought in to do it.
That's a very American thing because it's well established here. I thought that was so interesting that they said that about Korea, that it was new there, but we do zombies here.
And they were but I think they do zombies better. We established that, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just like drinking coffee with zombies because on film sets, I've talked about this a lot on the podcast. I drink a lot of coffee on film sets. So I just like hanging out with zombies, watching them, hanging out with them, drinking coffee, eating biscuits.
Mark, very often when you came home from set late at night, you were basically a zombie.
Yeah, it was. Right. Yeah. I tried not to be cranky, passed out.
No, you're just sort of tired, bleary eyes.
I was working all night and then driving home in rush hour traffic. Like, hey, let's rap when traffic is worse in Atlanta in the morning. It was fun, though. It was good. Thinking about the movie gives me goosebumps.
Oh.
Hey. So, no, it was a great experience. But, all right, how about this? Let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, we will talk more Train to Busan. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And I was just informed about something. So on my notes, I have written out Conductor Awesome. But all the awesome is in lowercase, so I really missed an opportunity.
I think it should be conductor awesome as a name.